We'll continue from chapter 13, text 7. 6 and 7. The five great elements: false ego, intelligence, the unmanifested, the 10 senses, and the mind. The five sense objects: desire, hatred, happiness, distress, the aggregate, the life symptoms, and convictions. All these are considered, in summary, to be the field of activities and its interactions. So we are talking about Kshetra and Kshetragya. In that explanation, Krishna is explaining that the Kshetra, the body, and the Kshetragya is the knower of the body. So there are two knowers. One is the soul, the other is a super soul. And the body includes all these different elements, that we have discussed in the prior chapters, which were in terms of the mm, the 26 elements or Sankhya Yoga. In Sankhya Yoga, we had discussed about the five senses, the five knowledge acquiring senses, the five sense objects, uh, Mahatattva, the soul, the different aspects of different things. So here also it's being repeated here: earth, water, fire, air, ether, the five senses, five sense objects. And then on top of that, there are other things in the Kshetra that has been defined in terms of objects: desire, hatred, happiness, distress, at the aggregate. That means Mahatattva, life symptoms, convictions, etc. So what all makes up, the body, the mind, the experience uh, of the Kshetragya is being described here. Chapter 13, text 8 to 12. Somebody wants to read? This Sanskrit will blow your mind.
I will read from you.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. अमानातिवम् अदम्भित्वम् अहिंसा स्नातिर्आर्जवम् आचार्योष्पाशनं शौचं स्थैर्यम् आत्मविनिग्रह इन्द्रियार्थेषु वैराग्यम् अनहङ्कार एव च जन्म मृत्यु जरा व्याधि दुःख दोषानुदर्शनम् असक्तिरनाभिस् अशक्तिरनाभिस्वङ्ग पुत्रदार गृहादिषु नित्यं च समचित्तत्वम् इष्टानिष्टोपापत्तिषु मयि चानन्ययोगेन भक्तिरव्यभिचारिणी विविक्तदेशसेवितम् अरातिर्जनसंसदि अध्यात्मज्ञान नित्यत्वं तत्त्वज्ञानार्थदर्शनम् एतज्ज्ञानम् इति प्रोक्तम् अज्ञानं यद् अतोऽन्यथा. Translation: humility, pridelessness, non-violence, tolerance, simplicity, approaching a bona fide spiritual master, cleanliness, steadiness, self-control, renunciation of the objects of sense gratification, absence of false ego, the perception of the evil of birth, death, old age, and disease, detachment, freedom from entanglement with children, wife, home, and the rest, even mindedness amid pleasant and unpleasant events, constant and unalloyed devotion to me, aspiring to live in a solitary place, detachment from the general mass of people, accepting the importance of self realization, and philosophical search for the absolute truth. All these I declare to be knowledge, and besides this, whatever there may be is ignorance. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Well, that's quite a statement. So when we say what is knowledge, this is what Krishna refers to, and everything else he's saying is ignorance. And it starts with humility and pridelessness. If you remember chapter 5, text 18, Krishna said, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmaniga Vihastini Sunichaiva Swapakecha Pandita Samadarshinaha. So, chapter 5, Krishna spoke about Vidya Vinaya Sampanne, that by the virtue of humility, true knowledge, people who have true knowledge can see with equal vision. Vidya Vinaya, Vinaya means humility, Vidya means knowledge. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne, Brahmini Gavi Hastini. That one who sees with equal vision sees the equality of Brahmini Gavi Hastini. A Brahmana, a cow, a, an elephant, Sunichaiva Swapakecha. A dog eater, they see the equality of all. Why? What's the equality? The equality is there's divinity within all, there's spirituality between all. Right? Everybody is a spark of the Supreme Lord, and this super soul, Paramatma, is at the hearts of all living entities. So when one is humble, one is able to see with true vision. When one is proud, one is intoxicated and can't see with clear vision. Just like a person who is driving under the influence of alcohol can't see properly, hence should not be driving, can't perceive things properly. Their senses are not working perfectly, hence they should not be driving. Driving under the influence is a very dangerous thing to do. So same way, pride is intoxicating, just like intoxicating drinks. And one who is driving under the influence of pride can't see with equal vision, sees themselves as higher than others, and hence falls prey to Maya Devi's trap, and then sees, I am better than you, etc., etc. Or often the opposite is also true. Everybody's good, I am bad. That is also a kind of pride. True humility is seeing things as it is. Krishna is great, I am small, but I might be small, I am divine nevertheless. I am part and parcel of Krishna. That is true humility, right? And because I'm spiritual, acting on the path of spirituality, I'm a spiritual being, and acting on the path of spirituality is being humble and acting accordingly. But there are people who are like, oh, I'm so fallen, Prabhuji, I can't do any service. That's actually not our process. Our process is, I might be fallen, I might be insignificant, I might be whatever, but I will do my best to move forward. The enthusiastic, path of a bhakta is what attracts Krishna's attention. Is the devotee is enthusiastically trading forward to move in the direction of Krishna's lotus feet. So here we see the first uh, quality Krishna is referring to is humility and pridelessness. Then comes non-violence. Now, non-violence is obviously not harming anyone or any beings. That is not one kind of non-violence. Another non-violence, from a dharmic perspective, is not coming in the way of somebody's spiritual progress. Sometimes people are envious of each other. And as a result of envy, they're like, oh, I'm progressing so slowly, but you're progressing so fast. That's not right. Let me make a situation for you that disrupts your spiritual growth. That's violence. Impeding somebody's spiritual life is the greatest form of violence. Impeding somebody's material life is certainly violence, but impeding somebody's spiritual life is even more of a violence. So non-violence is a wonderful thing to practice unless you're a Kshatriya who is standing up for the rights of others, for righteousness, like Arjuna is. Then that is the right thing to do. But otherwise, we practice non-violence. Sometimes what happens when somebody does wrong, and I'm a person who does not take things sitting down. I will protest. I will bring up, what is right. And sometimes people will give me this thing, oh, you're a devotee of Krishna, aren't you? Aren't you supposed to be non-violent? Aren't you supposed to be just forgiving and accept everything? I'm like, I'm not a carpet. And that's not what Krishna teaches in the Bhagavad Gita. In fact, Krishna says to Arjuna, stand up and fight. The Bhagavad Gita is a book where Krishna is telling Arjuna to stand up and fight and kill those who have wronged the Pandavas, right? So there is room for violence. If the police department decided not to carry weapons, there would be a lot of chaos, and there'll be a lot of robbery and rape and everything, right? So violence has its place to establish peace. A great politician of India, uh, uh, you know, you all know who that is. He seemed like a saintly person, and he was considered a saintly person amongst politicians. He's a saint, and he wrote the Bhagavad Gita, a translation of the Bhagavad Gita, and he wrote his version of the Bhagavad Gita, where there is no mention of violence, because according to him, if I don't believe in God, who believes in violence? But hello, our God does believe in violence. He's doing this in the middle of a battlefield in Kurukshetra, right? About to ensue the largest war of mankind, right? It's uh, archaeologically proven, astrologically proven, proven through human, uh, birth, whatever measures were there. There was a huge fall in male population right after this war. That's proof. It's there. It's recorded in history. So this is real. This happened. And this was caused by this Bhagavad Gita, by Krishna speaking to Arjuna. Arjuna wanted to run away. And honestly, Arjuna is the warrior from the Pandava side, the person. If he didn't fight this war, the Pandavas would be very much heartbroken. And without Krishna and Arjuna, there wouldn't be any victory, given the numbers were actually more on the other side, the Kauravas side, right? But this Bhagavad Gita, this song of God, or Bhagavad Gita, song of God, was spoken in the middle of a battlefield in 45 minutes, hearing which Arjuna says, Karishye vachanam tavo, I'm ready to fight this war. And he goes right in the middle of the two armies and he fights with full vengeance, with full vigor. His son passes away, or rather, his son gets killed, and he gets more vengeance and he fights with full vigor. So, nonviolence has its place to uphold dharma, not for personal grudges, not for getting oil from a country, not from for exploitation of others, but to do the Kshatriya dharma, that is to protect the weak from harm. Kshatriya means one who protects from harm. So Arjuna wanted to run away to the Himalayas. Krishna says, Arjuna, it's your duty to right the wrong. A woman has been insulted. You need to right the wrong. You need to be here, do your duty, stand up and fight. And that's the Dharma Yudhya we are talking about. That's the Dharma Kshetre, Kurukshetre, right? Kurukshetra is as a holy place, a dharmic place. The Dharma Kshetre, Kurukshetre, this the Bhagavad Gita starts with that statement that Krishna says that in this holy place there are two sides, the Pandavas and the Kauravas, and we are facing, these great personalities on the other side. So humility, pridelessness, then comes non-violence, right? That's something we uphold. We hold it very close to our heart. We don't harm anyone, either materially or spiritually. But to uphold dharma, there is a certain class of people who have to maintain discipline, and for that, sometimes, very rarely, violence is necessary, right? Tolerance. We learn to tolerate things. Chapter 2, text 14, Krishna says, Shita, Ushna, Sukha, Dukkata, right? Just like we tolerate heat, we tolerate extreme cold. Same way, Krishna is saying we must learn how to tolerate Sukha, Dukkata, right? Happiness and distress both have to be tolerated. Why happiness has to be tolerated? Because sometimes we get intoxicated with happiness and we go overboard, right? I used to be a resident advisor as a student, and one of the things the resident advisor does is like your basically the college pays entire scholarship for your stay and food, and you're in charge of a resident hall, right? For 42 students. staying in one residence hall you're in charge of. And one of the things we had to take care of was the 21st birthday. Every time there's a 21st birthday, the students would get drunk on the most complicated alcoholic mixtures of vodka, rum, and this and that. And they would be throwing up all night. And I would have to sit next to them and make sure they don't pass out. And if they do pass out, I have to call the ambulance. So that was one of my things as a college student, as a resident advisor for my junior students, I had to do, right? So tolerance is tolerating happiness and distress. Both are important because you get so happy that you get so drunk that you suffer after that, right? You get so distressed that you get into depression, and you're not able to function properly. I mean, as an entrepreneur, I can tell you, you'd go through happiness and distress on an hourly basis, and you need to be calm and make decisions right and keep going. If you stop, your competitors will be ahead of you, and you can't afford to go into depression for weeks and months. Even if you have a breakup, you got better, get through things quickly and move on, because that's a sign of maturity. That's a sign of leadership, right? You take the arrows, but you move forward. You don't let things slow you down. Of course, that doesn't mean mental health is not important. You do pause. You do take mental health dosages. You do cry. You take mentorship. You take guidance. You pause your life, but get up and reinstate yourself as quickly as possible. And you can do that depending on the strength that you have on your foundation, your relationship with Krishna. The stronger that relationship, the stronger you can get up and fight. A story that really was pivotal for me that I heard as a from a motivational speaker. This lady, uh, she had one leg, and she was sharing this story. Many years ago, I heard this. I was live in the audience in Texas, A&M University, and this lady was saying that she used to be a ballerina, a beautiful ballet dancer, and uh, one day she had an accident. She woke up in the hospital, and when she woke up, she saw the faces, and she realized something is terribly wrong. Then she realized she can't feel one of her legs, and then she realized that one of her legs is gone. Um, People were crying next to her, and she heard the news that she was amputated because of some accident. For 15 minutes, she was in shock. She couldn't think, she couldn't move, she couldn't figure out what to do in life. She was a ballerina. Those legs meant everything to her. Everything she knew depended on her legs. Now she was missing one. Within 15 minutes, she had the ability to make the decision that she's going to go to Paralympics and she's going to win. So she decided to choose a sport, which was skiing, right? And this lady decided that she would become good at skiing with one leg, and she would go and represent her country in the Paralympics. Paralympics is Olympics for specially abled people. So she trained herself for the next few years, and finally she was able to go to the Paralympics. And for the first round, she was going zoom, 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 zoom. Everybody was like, "Whoa, she's so gifted with one leg. She's able to go so well. She's going to be the winner." Final round comes. She's going zoom, 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 and one of her competitors elbows her, and she has one leg, so balance is difficult. And she's going down the mountain in the ice. You know how ice skating works, and she falls. And immediately she looks up and says, "God, why me?" But then within 3 seconds, she gets her courage together, gets up again, and keeps going zoom, 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 and wins the bronze medal. Years later, decades later, she's telling us at Texas A&M University that those 3 seconds cost me the gold medal. I could have won the gold medal if I had just immediately gotten up and kept going. 3 seconds I sat there saying, "Why God, why me?" And that's what cost me the gold medal. So, as mentally strong people, We do get difficulties, but it's important to get up and keep going, get up and keep going, get up and keep going. Life throws us down, we get up and we keep going. Arjuna was in depression for a few hours when his son passed, when his son was murdered brutally by the best, uh, you know, fighters of the world who are his relatives. Right? Arjun was in depression. He was yelling and shouting at his brothers that you're the Pandavas. What one of you could save my son? To the point that Krishna pulled him aside and said, "Hey, Arjuna, you're saying horrible things. I know you're depressed, but rather than focusing your anger towards your brothers, let's take this anger and channel it towards the Kauravas and destroy them, decimate them tomorrow." And so they did. The Kauravas, put this fellow who killed Abhimanyu, the main guy who killed Abhimanyu, diagonally 18 miles away from Arjuna, where Arjuna was, diagonally 18 miles away to the other side of the battlefield. So Arjuna had to kill, fight, all the way to reach, was it Drishtadyumna? I think so, mainly, that fellow. And all the way he went through. And then finally, the magic Krishna did, right? Once they thought the sun had set and Arjun had not been able to kill his son's killer, now he would kill himself, he would commit suicide. At that point, these guys came out to watch Arjun kill, and Krishna made the sun appear. He ordered the sun appear, and just as the sun appeared, Krishna said, "Arjun, here is a son, and here is a killer of your son. Kill him." And he killed him. So Krishna can do anything, but what's important is the word here is tolerance, right? We tolerate happiness and distress. We tolerate. We don't get swayed away too much in happiness. We don't get depressed and swayed away too much. We get up. We keep fighting. We keep going. When our relationship with Krishna is strong, we understand that change is the only constant in material world. The only thing that's constant is change. Everything else is transient. So one thing that doesn't change. What is that one thing? Our relationship with Krishna. Krishna will never leave us. And as long as we hold on to his lotus feet, we can tolerate any damn thing that's happening, right? And that's the reality. So tolerance from happiness and distress. Shita Ushna, Sukha Dukhada. Then comes simplicity. What is simplicity? Simplicity is the ability to be childlike. What is childlike? Not complicate a simple situation. You know, take things as it is. Like Krishna speaks in Bhagavad Gita. He is saying, I'm speaking in a battlefield in Kurukshetra. Kurukshetra is a place in Haryana. I told you about that IIT professor I was stuck with in the flight who was thinking he's God. So according to him, there is no such place as Kurukshetra. I was like, do you want me to open Google Maps and show you? I don't have internet up in the sky, but when we land, I'll show you where Kurukshetra is. It's a real place. It has archaeological evidence. It has the banyan tree, under which Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita, established by Shankaracharya, who you follow, right? And he's like, Shankaracharya? I'm like, yes. It's not imaginary because all Mayavadis believe the the Kurukshetra is the body, the Pandavas are the five senses, Krishna is the mind, all this garbage. Why? Krishna is speaking first person singular. Aham bija pradapitaha. I am the seed giving father. Krishna is speaking first person singular. Just take it. Simplicity is accepting Krishna as it is. Complicatedness is, oh, Krishna is the mind and Pandava the five senses, and speculating, making, jalebi out of something simple, right? That's what complicated people do. You will see one thing. People who are unintelligent always complicates a simple situation. People who are very intelligent can take complex situations and simplify them. You see the way, Einstein would speak. You see the way good professors speak. You see the better the professor, they will simplify a complicated thing. And the worse the professor, they'll complicate a simple thing. I remember meeting this guy. He has I think, three PhDs, right? And we were in a preaching program to Bengalis, the hardest audience, overcome by Mayavadi ideas. So, so this person comes and tells me, this Swamiji from Ramakrishna Mission, when he speaks, you can't understand a single word he's saying. So erudite, he's so scholarly. I was like, okay. I mean, if you can't understand a single thing he's saying, then how do you know he's erudite? Oh, because every word he's saying is like Shashi Tharoor. It's like every word he's saying is like you can't understand. So it's very deep. It's very, not for people like us. I'm like, well, it's stupid to think that somebody who can't explain a simple concept of spirituality is erudite just because they're using complex words and complicating the whole thing. And then there was a 5-year-old boy, my mentor's son, was sitting next to me. Like, this boy can explain Krishna consciousness in a simple way better than that complicated person, right? And that's what is called a pandita, right? A pandita is a person who's humble, who's simple, and who can explain complicated things in a very simple way that a child can also understand, right? Prahlad Maharaj with a 5-year-old boy, he was preaching to his friends in school. His father sent him to learn economics and sociology, right? Uh, and Prahlad Maharaj, whenever there was a break from his school, he would speak about the Bhagavatam principles, right? Principles of spirituality. How can a 5-year-old speak to other 5-year-olds and make them Krishna conscious? Because spirituality is complicated for the complicated, simple for the simple. So if you're simple, you can easily accept the concepts. For me, by God's grace, I don't have too much intelligence. So I have to simplify things for me to grasp it and move forward. When I was starting my Krishna conscious journey, I used to have a friend, a brahmachari friend, who was very intelligent, very erudite, and he would read a lot of scholarly books by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, by Baladev Vidyabhushan, by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, by this, by that, and he would quote Jiva Goswami and this and that. I would look at him and be like, oh God, what is he talking about? I can't understand a damn thing. But Srila Prabhupada has given things very simply, the Bhagavad Gita, the Shrimad Bhagavatam. And I would tell my mentor, I'm like, I don't understand so many complicated things. I understand one thing: Krishna is God. He's the cause of all causes, He's the supreme being. I am His part. I'm infinitesimally small. Krishna is God. He's infinite. I'm infinitesimal. If I'm under His care, I'm taken care of. So He's God. I'm a servant. I should worship Him. Is it enough to just understand this? And my mentor's answer was, Munis, after going through millions and millions of years of tapasya and lifetimes, don't come to this conclusion. You have gotten it. You're far better off than those Munis, right? That's the idea. Yes, it's so simple. Krishna is God. We are a servant, so worship Him, right? Now, what does people do? Jnana yoga, Ashtanga yoga, this yoga, that yoga. Bloody simplify things, right? Krishna is simple. He's giving something simply. Man mana bhavat bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. Think of me in your heart. Manmana, Bhavamat Bhakto, Madhyaji, worship me, offer your obeisances unto me, and you'll come back to me. Done. Sarvadharman Parityajya, Mahamekam Sharanam Vraja. Aham tam sarva papebhyo, moksha shami masachaha. Forget all religious orders, forget everything, surrender unto me. I will take care of all your papa, all your negative sins. Moksha shami, I'll give you liberation. Masachaha, don't worry. Simple. Done. Bhagavad Gita concluded. But we can complicate it with 700 verses, or we can take one verse and simplify the whole thing. But unfortunately, our mind doesn't take simple things very seriously. When we see something simple, we're like, can't be so easy. Has to be more to it. So we read between the lines, we speculate, and you see every Bhagavad Gita will go into so much complex. Then, the Bhagavad Gita has 18 chapters because the body has 9 holes. And I don't know what that has to do with anything, but, and those 9 holes has to do something with 9 chapters and multiplied by 2, something, something. People just make things out of nothing. Be simple. Krishna is saying, be simple. Take my words as it is. Follow my instructions. You will come back to me. Be like a child. And you will see people who are great devotees of Krishna have childlike innocence. I've seen this in my spiritual master. Those of you know my spiritual master, seen him, know that he is a very scholarly devotee, very, very, grave person. But there is a side of him, he is as simple as a child when it comes to the real him. Like, he's a guru, so he has to be grave, and maintain a certain level of dignity, and that is there. But at the decision making level, there is childlike simplicity. And that is true with Srila Prabhupada, that is true with any great spiritual person. That, simplicity is a very important principle that gives us happiness, that simplifies complicated things, and that allows us to make decisions easily, right? So, intelligence allows us to simplify complicated things, and unintelligence complicates simple things. So Krishna's one of the things Krishna describes within the purview of knowledge is simplicity, right? Approaching a bona fide spiritual master. This is also part of knowledge. Part of knowledge is not like I'll figure out things on my own and struggle and with my ego, right? No. Part of knowledge is knowing I don't know enough. And I must approach somebody who knows, the right person who has the right knowledge from whom I can receive the knowledge, right? I don't know, I want to know. That is humility, that is intelligence. I want to know from whom? Somebody who's stamped with the right authority, the right authenticity. Just like we go to an accredited university to get a degree, right? Accredited by a body that says, yes, this university has a right to examine you. And if they stamp you, you are up to the mark. Same way, we have disciplic successions, Guru Shishya Parampara, from Brahma, from Lakshmi Devi, from Narada, from the Chatush Kumar. These are four disciplic successions that are bona fide, that are authentic, that are accredited. And when we get a guru from any of these four sampradayas, we get the true knowledge, unlike a YouTuber or some made up guru who can give us wrong information or incomplete information that will not lead to the same conclusion as Arjuna did. How do we know we have reached the right conclusion? We should be in the state that Arjuna was at the end of Bhagavad Gita, right? If that's not the state we have reached, then we have not understood the Bhagavad Gita as it is. We have understood the Bhagavad Gita as I want it to be, right? So it's important that we have simplicity and we then approach a bona fide spiritual master with humility. And in four, chapter 4 or chapter 3, I forget, where Krishna gives the quality of a student. Paripratena pariprashnena sevaya. Pariprashna, we ask questions. Pariprata, we um, we acknowledge that we don't know, right? And sevaya, we serve the person who we are gaining knowledge from. Paripratena pariprashnena sevaya. So asking questions is very important. We are not a dogmatic religion where everything is like the book says, hence you must follow. The books inbuilt are with question and answers, right? So it's not dogmatic. It is based on question and answer. It, to a certain degree, it's logical. To a certain degree, it's beyond logic because we're dealing with a subject matter which is beyond the mind and senses. God doesn't fit into logic because we're dealing with a different dimension. But to a great degree, karma is logical, right? Mother Nature, the three modes of nature, is logical. So if you see the Bhagavad Gita, the five things that Bhagavad Gita is comprised of, anybody remembers? What are the five things? Ishvara, Karma, Kala, Prakriti, Jiva, right? So God, us, our activities, karma, Kala, time, Prakriti, Mother Nature, three modes of nature. Except for the God part, everything else can fall in the purview of logic, right? Krishna is by default adhokshaja, beyond-minded senses. So he can't be defined or understood with logic, but everything else is within the purview. So intellectually, one can ask questions and one can find answers, right? That's how we understand things. Paripratena, pariprashnena, sevaya. We serve the person we're learning from. When I went to study in US, my shock was sitting in the auditorium where students put their feet up towards the professor like that, right? And showing your feet to the professor while learning from them, with your, your heart, your soft drinks and your McDonald's or whatever, your snacks. I was like, respect? What about respect? Showing your feet to the professor? And the professors also insisted, call us by our first name. I could never do that in my 4 years of college, never call professors by their first name. I could always say Professor or Mr. So and so or Doctor so and so. Just our upbringing is such that Guru, because knowledge flows when there is hierarchy, right? When you give that respect to that person, knowledge flows upper to lower. So it's very important to give respect where it is due, and that's our Vedic system. So approaching a bona fide spiritual master, one requires to be in the mode of a student. Paripratena, pariprashnena, sevaya. One must ask pertinent questions. One must be in the mood of I don't know, I want to know, humble mode of submission. And one must serve the person who they are learning from. By this process, one becomes a qualified student approaching a bona fide spiritual master, right? Just like teacher must be bona fide, a student must be bona fide. It's like pregnancy. The father must be potent, the mother must be. Um, the father must be potent and the mother must be fertile. If the father is potent, the mother is fertile, then the father giving the seed to the fertile mother will create a child. If one of them, father is not potent or the mother is not fertile, the child will not come. So same way, the student and the teacher. Sometimes the teacher is excellent, but the student is not ready yet. Hence, even the knowledge, the access, everything is there, fructification doesn't happen. But if both are there, one is potent, the other is fertile, magic happens, right? So, so that's the way to approach a spiritual master, and that's part of knowledge. Part of knowledge is approaching the right person. Like, today we have Chat GPT, thank God, and Chat GPT can hopefully find the right resources for us to bring in the right answers and give us the right context for things. Not always, but 90% of the times it's right. I was recently watching a reel that says that apparently ChatGPT is very good at astrology. That would make sense because it's a logical system. Mathematically, it's about connecting dots. So I just put in my date of birth, place of birth, and started, asked ChatGPT to bring out my astrological predictions. I'm just like blown away, like, whoa, that's impressive. Like the way it was using all the Vedic astrology processes to define things and tell me things about me. I was really astonished. It was impressive. So, so thankfully, we have tools today that can give us the right resources. Before that, we had Google Acharya, right? We would ask Google, and with Google, we don't know. Whoever has the best SEO would be able to, you think is the right person. But the Vedic system teaches us that who's the right spiritual master? Somebody who has a spiritual master, who has a spiritual master, who has a spiritual master, coming in the line of disciplic succession, starting all the way from God, from Krishna himself. That's one. Two, who's a spiritual master? Who has his mind, his senses, his anger under control, who knows the scriptures in and out to be able to dispel the doubts of his students using scriptural reference, not speculation. So, A, they should be coming in disciplic succession. B, they should have control over their mind, senses, and anger. Mind, senses, genitals, everything included. Shouldn't be, one of those people out there. who rapes women and things like that, right? So who should be under self-control, who uh, who's in disciplic succession, has control over mind, senses, and anger, and knows the scriptures in and out to be able to dispel the doubts of their students. Such a person is qualified to have disciples all over the world, according to Upadeshamrita, right? That's the definition. So, student must know who is the right guru. To ask the right question, to find out what is a guru, what qualifies a guru, and then find a guru, ask the right questions with humility, and serve that guru, and thereby become a qualified student. And by becoming a qualified student, that is the root of becoming a qualified guru. A qualified student becomes a qualified guru. Please understand that. A good follower, a good mentee becomes a good leader, a good mentor. You first have to be a follower, then you become a leader. Some people are like, I'm a born leader. I only lead, I don't follow. Then you don't know what it takes to lead, what it feels like to be a follower. What are their problems? How would you know? In bhakti, we learn the higher we go, the lower we are. Servant leadership, right? A spiritual master, you know, a spiritual master thinks he's correcting his disciples and everything, but he thinks I'm the servant of my disciples. It's my service to move them towards Krishna's lotus feet. I am here to serve them. Radharani is thinking, oh, I am not qualified to serve Krishna, but these gopis, they're serving Krishna so nicely. Let me serve them so they can serve Krishna better. They can make him happier, right? That's the mood of Srimati Radharani. She's the best. That's why she's the best. Because she's serving the other gopis, she's enhancing Krishna's pleasure by serving those who are serving Krishna. The mood is servant of servant. The mood is not I'm the leader, right? She is the leader. That's why she's the leader. So the mood of a devotee leader, mood of a devotee entrepreneur is a mood of service. The more sacrifices a leader makes, the more the leader is followed by others. You'll always see that. A leader is somebody who eats last, who makes sacrifices, who takes care of people, who makes sure everybody is okay, everybody feels safe. That's the leader who gives the shadow like a banyan tree. And under their shadow, others feel safe and protected, right? That's important. And that's what a spiritual master does. A spiritual master is like a banyan tree, giving protection and mercy to so many devotees. But then he's thinking, I'm at the bottom of all of them. My service is to make sure they reach Krishna's lotus feet. I'm their servant. It just so happens I'm their guru, right? So the mentality is very different. Okay. Cleanliness. Cleanliness of the mind and body. External cleanliness and internal cleanliness. Internally, our thoughts, our way of looking at the world, and externally, of course, taking a shower, keeping things clean and whatnot. So cleanliness inside and outside. When we start a yajna, generally there is a mantra that is recited, which is to purify our mind by thinking of the lotus eyes of the Supreme Lord, right? And there it is, one of the lines is abhyantara, like inside cleanliness and outside cleanliness. So with the Ganga water, we do achman, and in the achman process, we are speaking we are stating this mantra and and remembering the lotus-eyed Supreme Personality of Godhead, because by remembering Him, we become clean inside and outside, right? So it's important. Cleanliness is a very important. They say that cleanliness is next to godliness, right? Yes, that is absolutely true. Although Christians saying it's true in our context as well. In self-defense too, we sometimes choose violence, right? Like recently we had India versus Pakistan. Yes, absolutely. Uh, like I said, for dharmic reasons, to establish peace, atom bombs are important. Atom bombs are important to keep, not use, to establish peace. So violence, or the fear of violence, is required for animalistic people to stay disciplined, right? People who are, you know, qualified don't need fear to be disciplined. They're disciplined because of duty, of knowledge, and other things, higher things. But animalistic people need to be put under fear. Their motivation is fear. And that's how, when you show the stick, they're like, okay, okay, fine, we will be in our place, right? And that's required. Oftentimes, you see a boss yelling at, I mean, I am not the kind of person who yells at people, but after coming to India, after especially dealing with people who work in factories and who are little less educated, maintaining a certain level of external anger is important for them to actually do their job. This is something I learned the hard way. I used to open the doors for my employees, you know, and I was taken as a person who couldn't lead them because I opened doors for them. And when I stopped being nice externally and started being the boss and not care if you're older than me or you're this or you're that, just be, uh, you know, act like a boss. Yeah, okay, this guy's ready, right? Until date, here also, now also, I have to be a person who raises his voice, who will be like, if this is not done, we'll have to look at your salary. I have to say things that I don't like speaking that way. I don't like being harsh, but I have to be, because certain people are motivated by fear, and it is the the quality of a leader to understand who is motivated by fear, who is motivated by money, who's motivated by name, fame, who's motivated by love, right? And accordingly guiding them, accordingly motivating them. When you're running an organization as a leader, you need to know who's motivated by what, right? Leader, teacher, entrepreneur, and that's what Bhagavad Gita teaches us, the modes of nature. When we know somebody is sattvic, we know what they're motivated by. When somebody is rajasic, when they're a combination of sattvic, rajasic, that means kshatriya. They're a combination of rajasic, tamasic, vaishya. When they're completely tamasic, shudra, they're motivated by fear, right? So everything has its place. So different people are motivated by different things. So it's important to understand that uh, as a leader, we need to know who's motivated by what. So cleanliness of the mind, cleanliness of the body, cleanliness inside, cleanliness outside, clean thoughts, clean ideas, etc. Steadiness. And one might say, how steadiness connected to knowledge? Very important. Steadiness. Why? Because you'll see it's very easy to start something. And I come from the world of startups. I'm going to give another example. There are people, entrepreneurs, who are very good at starting, but they're not very good at being the CEO and continuing it because it's boring to maintain something. Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwar, right? Brahma starts the universe, but Vishnu maintains it, the boring part, and Maheshwar comes and destroys it. It's easier to start it or destroy it, but to maintain it is boring, and that requires a manager, steadiness, right? Because steady means every day the same thing you have to do on time and make sure things get done. That's what CEOs do, right? They maintain it. So you see companies are founded by the founders, bring up to a certain level, they scale them up, but then when it comes to actually making sure it goes forward and all the way through, then they have to hire a CEO, like just like Google. Larry Page, Sergey Brin, they started the company and they took it to the level that Google became a world phenomena. But then they had to hire Eric Schmidt, and after that, today we have Sundar Pichai, and tomorrow there'll be somebody else to run the company. Steadiness. So steadiness is important. Why? Because you do one thing right every single day, you will see that you grow in leaps and bounds. The exponential growth is always like this, where it goes up, right? Every day we chant Hare Krishna. Every day we water a tulsi plant. Every day we invest in our relationship with Krishna, in our relationship with our family, right? Every day we're investing, and eventually it grows. Every day you go to the gym. Initially, you won't see much of a difference, but eventually you will see that, oh, you're a fit person. It's become a second nature. Every day you learn a skill. You become a greatly, dexterous person. So every day, steadiness in anything leads to exponential growth. So knowledge-wise also, it's not enough to just start something and end it. I remember in ISKCON Chicago, my spiritual master one day asked me to get Chaitanya Charitamrita, the first two books, the first two volumes. And I was surprised. Every place where the book libraries were, the Chaitanya Charitamrita is a set of books. The first volume was always missing. And I kept on going, and I was like, why is the first volume missing? Turns out every person decides I'm going to read the Chaitanya Charitamrita. They take the first volume out and they never come back and return the first volume and take the second volume. They start, but they don't finish. Right? As a result, in ISKCON Chicago, there are three sets of Chaitanya Charitamritas, but on every set, the first volume is missing. And all the other volumes are nicely plastic wrapped and everything. Right? So it's a proof that people start, but they don't finish. So steadiness, Krishna is speaking about, is because you start something and you continue it through year after year, right? And that's where dexterity comes, expert attributes come. You start something and you're not bored with it. Let's move on to something else. Then you are a jack of all trades, master of none. In today's world, to be, or any time, Krishna is speaking 5,000 years ago, to be successful, to know something as an expert, you need to be a jack of all trades and master of some, right? You can't be master of none. You're a jack of all trades, but a master of some. And to be a master of some, you need to give it time. In the one of these books, I forget, by Malcolm Gladwell, I think it says 10,000 hours principle, right? You learn anything 10,000 hours, you become expert at it. I have seen even 100 hours makes you expert, but not at the level 10,000 hours does. So people think, I've done 100 hours, I'm already an expert. Why do I need 10,000 hours? When you do it repeatedly, you realize what expertise is, which a common person can't understand, right? Uh, Anyway, I'm not getting into too much details. We have 3 minutes left. I'll pause here and see if there are any questions from your side.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Kuldeep Prabhu.
So sorry for the noise. I don't have my headphones.
No problem.
Prabhuji, you mentioned simplicity, and I realized that I want to ask a question that how can one work towards becoming simpler?
By associating with simple-minded devotees is the short answer. To expand on that, when we watch how decisions are made simply, when we read Lilamrita, how Srila Prabhupada saw the world, how you know when you're with a simple person, how they are, right? It's not simplicity is not wearing a torn kurta or not having any nice watch or anything. That's not that is one kind of simplicity, but simplicity in the thoughts. So when you associate with a simple hearted devotee, you will be able to see that life is so simple for them. Everything is like you're able to simply move on from one thing to another. Right? The Bhagavad Gita principles become evident by their simplicity. Oh, it didn't work. Okay, I'll try something else. Oh, expectation didn't meet. All right, I did my best. Well, Krishna does the rest. Right? So when you associate, you see how they act, how they react, and based on that, you also imbibe those qualities. That's the best way to go from complicatedness to simplicity. Okay, Hare Krishna. Any other questions anybody has? I have 1 minute left. Okay, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Hare Krishna. See you in the evening for Bhagavatam class.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.